Admiral Helena Zhao stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Defense Station Artemis, her weathered features reflected in the reinforced plasteel window. 25 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. Humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization. The massive crystalline vessel of the Galactic Concordat hung in high Earth orbit, its surface refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. "Admiral, the Concordat delegation is ready for the facility tour," Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez reported, his usual confidence tempered by nervous energy. "Very well," Zhao replied, straightening her uniform. "Let's show our guests what humanity is capable of." The delegation consisted of 3 beings: High Inspector Kexri, a towering insectoid with iridescent carapace; Scientific Attaché Valwyn, a graceful aquatic humanoid; and Security Overseer Drax, a stocky reptilian whose scales shifted color with his moods. Their environmental suits hummed softly as they followed Zhao through the station's corridors. "Most impressive, Admiral," Kexri chittered, compound eyes taking in every detail. "Your species has achieved remarkable progress for a civilization barely 2 centuries into space travel." Zhao detected the subtle condescension in the High Inspector's tone, but maintained her diplomatic smile. "We've learned to adapt quickly, High Inspector. Necessity is often the mother of invention." The tour proceeded smoothly until they reached the weapons testing facility. Security Overseer Drax's scales shifted to a deep purple as his sensors detected the energy signatures emanating from behind the reinforced doors. "Admiral Zhao," Drax rumbled, "these readings, they cannot be correct." "I assure you they are, Overseer," Zhao replied calmly, entering her authorization code. The massive doors slid open to reveal Earth's pride and joy, the Mark VII Electromagnetic Mass Accelerator Array, or as the troops called it, the Planet Cracker. The reaction was immediate. Valwyn's bioluminescent patches flared brilliant blue, while Kexri's antennae went rigid. Drax's scales cycled through a rainbow of colors before settling on a sickly yellow. "This is impossible," Valwyn whispered, his translator struggling with his agitation. "The energy readings, the containment fields, these are Category 9 weapons. Your species shouldn't have this capability for at least another millennium." Zhao led them to the observation gallery, where a test firing was being prepared. Below, technicians scurried around the massive railgun assembly, its magnetic coils humming with barely contained power. "Test firing sequence initiated," a computerized voice announced. "Target: decommissioned satellite cluster at 500 kilometers." The delegation watched in stunned silence as the railgun fired. A brilliant lance of light erupted from the barrel, and on the monitoring screens, they witnessed the target cluster vaporize instantly. "By the first ones," Kexri breathed. "The velocity, the precision. This violates every known development curve we have for emerging species." Zhao allowed herself a small smile. "Humanity has always been good at defying expectations, High Inspector. We developed these weapons initially for asteroid defense, but they've proven quite versatile." "Versatile?" Drax's scales had turned ash-gray. "Admiral, you've created weapons that could challenge the Concordat's most advanced battlecruisers. This technology should be impossible for your current development level." "Perhaps," Zhao replied carefully, "your development curves need revision. Humanity has faced numerous challenges in our history. We've learned to overcome them through innovation and determination." The delegation huddled together, speaking rapidly in their native languages. Zhao caught fragments of their conversation through her neural translator. Words like containment, threat assessment, and council intervention. "Admiral," Kexri finally spoke, his voice formal and cold, "the Concordat will need to evaluate this development. You understand that weapons of this magnitude in the hands of an emerging species pose certain concerns." Zhao's expression hardened slightly. "With all due respect, High Inspector, Earth's defensive capabilities are not subject to external evaluation. We welcome peaceful relations with the Concordat, but we will not compromise our sovereignty or security." You may not have a choice, Drax growled, his scales now pulsing with aggressive red patterns. The Council has protocols for situations like this. Does it? Zhou's voice carried an edge of steel. And how have those protocols worked out with other emerging species who refuse to comply? The question hung in the air like a drawn weapon. Valwyn's bioluminescence dimmed noticeably, while Kexri's antennae twitched in what Zhou's cultural briefings identified as discomfort. "We should continue our inspection," Kexri said finally, his tone carefully neutral. "Though I suspect the Council will have many questions about today's revelations." As they moved on, Zhou activated her neural link to Earth Defense Command. Priority alert. Concordat delegation has confirmed presence of advanced weapon systems. Recommend immediate activation of Protocol Omega. We may have less time than we thought. Throughout the solar system, hidden sensors tracked the crystalline vessel's every movement, while deep within asteroid bases and planetary bunkers, more railguns powered up silently. Humanity had worked too hard and come too far to surrender their advantages now. The game of galactic politics had begun, and Earth's opening move had just shocked the board. The Concordat Council chamber resembled a massive geode, its crystalline walls refracting light in dazzling patterns. High Inspector Kexri stood before the assembled council members, his report on Earth's capability sending ripples of concern through the gathering. "The humans have achieved Category 9 weapons development," Kexri announced, projecting holographic data from the inspection. "Their Railgun technology exceeds our theoretical models for species at their development stage. More concerning, they show no inclination to submit to Concordat oversight." Supreme Counselor Vex then, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, leaned forward. "This is unprecedented. No species has bypassed the established technological progression curves to this degree. How did we miss this?" "The humans are different," scientific attaché Valwyn interjected, his bioluminescent patterns shifting anxiously. "They approach problems laterally, develop technologies in unexpected ways. Our standard monitoring protocols weren't designed to detect such irregular advancement." Back on Earth, Admiral Zhou sat in an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The chamber, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, hummed with tension as representatives from Earth's major powers debated their response to the Concordat's increasingly aggressive diplomatic signals. "They're demanding we dismantle our railgun platforms," Chinese Defense Minister Chen announced, his hologram flickering with barely contained anger. "In exchange, they offer protected species status and technological assistance in approved areas of development." "Protected species," Russian Federation Commander Petrova scoffed. "You mean domesticated pets. They want to ensure we remain controllable." Zhou studied the latest intelligence reports streaming through her neural link. Concordat ships had been detected moving into nearby systems, establishing a loose blockade under the guise of routine patrols. "They're preparing for military action," she declared, silencing the chamber. "The diplomatic demands are just theater. They don't expect us to comply. They're establishing justification for intervention." President Sarah Martins of the United Americas raised her hand. "Then we need to show them why that would be a mistake." Admiral Zhou, implement Case Thunder. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden strength stirred to life. Deep within Mercury's scorched valleys, massive solar arrays powered up, feeding energy to concealed railgun platforms. In the asteroid belt, automated factories that had been quietly manufacturing ammunition and spare parts for decades activated their defense systems. Beneath Europa's ice, in corridors never revealed to the Concordat delegation, engineers performed final checks on a new generation of railguns designed specifically for ship-to-ship combat in zero gravity. The weapons incorporated lessons learned from decades of secret research into alien technology, gathered through careful observation and salvage of debris from ancient space battles fought long before humanity reached the stars. "The Concordat believes they understand our capabilities." Zhou addressed the council. "They don't. We've spent the last 50 years preparing for this moment, ever since our first deep space probes detected evidence of alien civilizations. Minister Chen's hologram nodded grimly. Operation Broken Mirror is ready. When they scan for our defense platforms, they'll see exactly what they expect, and nothing more. In high orbit, the Concordette's crystalline vessels continued their show of force, unaware that human quantum sensors were analyzing their every movement, every energy signature, every communication burst. Each piece of data was fed into vast AI systems that worked continuously to identify weaknesses and develop countermeasures. "We've received their final communique," President Martinez announced. "We have 48 Earth hours to begin dismantling our defensive capabilities, or they will ensure compliance through direct intervention." "Then we have 48 hours to spring our trap," Zhao replied, her expression hardening. "Initiate Protocol Omega. All ships to battle stations. Activate the Ghost Fleet." Throughout the solar system, seemingly abandoned space stations and asteroid bases suddenly came alive. Holographic camouflage dissolved, revealing sleek warships bristling with railgun arrays. In the Kuiper Belt, automated drone carriers began launching swarms of fighter craft, their AI pilots unfettered by the biological limitations that the Concordette's tactical doctrine was based upon. "Remember," Zhao transmitted to all commands, "we only need to hold out long enough to demonstrate the true cost of invasion. The Concordate has never faced a species that could fight back effectively. We're about to change that calculation." As the clock ticked down, humanity's forces moved into carefully prepared positions. The Concordate ships maintained their impressive display, unaware that they were being subtly herded into killing zones established years in advance. "They think they're dealing with an upstart species that got lucky with one weapons system," Zhao mused to her staff. "They're about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our railguns. It's our capacity to innovate, to prepare, to surprise." In the Concordate Council chamber, the final vote was cast. "The motion for military intervention is approved," Supreme Counselor Vex then declared. "Let it be recorded that we gave the humans every opportunity to accept guidance. Their intransigence leaves us no choice." The counselor's next words would be transmitted across space to the waiting fleet. "Commence the pacification operation." They had no way of knowing they had just walked into one of the most elaborate traps in military history. Humanity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating primitive species. The first shots of the war were fired not with railguns or energy weapons, but with quantum algorithms. As the Concordate fleet surged forward, their crystalline ships gleaming with contained power, humanity's cyber warfare specialists struck. Admiral Zhao watched from her command center as Operation Ghost Echo initiated. Decades of passively scanning Concordate communications were about to pay off. "Execute Protocol Sigma," she ordered. "Let's show them our first surprise." Throughout the Concordate fleet, navigation systems suddenly registered thousands of phantom signals. Their sophisticated sensors, designed to detect ships at incredible distances, were being overwhelmed by false returns. Each ghost signal perfectly mimicked the energy signature of a human railgun platform. High Commander Zervex of the Concordate fleet chittered in frustration. Impossible. Their technological level shouldn't allow for quantum spoofing of this sophistication. Target the verified platforms first. But that was exactly what humanity had planned for. As the Concordate ships adjusted their formation to engage the known defense platforms, they maneuvered directly into the firing solutions of Earth's hidden fleet. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Zhao transmitted. "Show them what those impossible railguns can do." The space around Earth erupted in brilliant flashes as hundreds of railgun platforms opened fire simultaneously. The Concordate's energy shields, optimized to defend against plasma weapons and laser fire, proved surprisingly vulnerable to kinetic impacts at relativistic speeds. Shield failures across multiple ships. Val Wind reported frantically to the Concordate command. "Their projectiles they're phase shifting. They're passing through our harmonic barriers as if they weren't there." Another gift from decades of research. Human scientists had discovered that certain crystalline structures, when accelerated to near-light speeds, could partially exist in multiple quantum states. The Concordat's shields, for all their sophistication, couldn't stop what wasn't fully in normal space. But humanity's advantage wouldn't last forever. The Concordat fleet, though surprised, was far from defeated. Their ships began adapting, their crystalline hulls reconfiguring to better absorb kinetic impacts. Second wave, incoming. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez announced. They're launching some kind of energy-based fighters. Zhao smiled grimly. Initiate swarm protocol. Let's see how their pilots handle our eye. From hidden bases across the solar system, thousands of autonomous drones launched. Each one was controlled by a quantum AI that could react thousands of times faster than any biological pilot. The resulting dogfight was unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy's history. The Concordat's energy fighters were individually superior in every way. Faster, better armed, more heavily shielded. But they were piloted by beings who thought in linear terms, who followed tactical doctrines developed over millennia of fighting predictable opponents. Human combat AIs have been trained on chaos theory and emergent behavior. They fought like a swarm of angry insects, their patterns impossible to predict or counter effectively. For every drone destroyed, 2 more would slip through the Concordat's defenses to deliver their payload of specialized antimatter charges. This is madness. High Commander Zervex raged as another cruiser reported critical damage. They're using banned weapons, impossible technologies. This cannot be allowed to continue. But the Concordat's attempts to regain control of the battle were hampered by another human innovation. Every transmission they sent was intercepted, decoded, and jammed by quantum computers that had spent years analyzing their communication protocols. In the midst of the chaos, humanity revealed its masterstroke. From behind Jupiter's bulk, a massive ship emerged, the culmination of Project Prometheus. It looked unlike anything the Concordat had ever seen. Its hull a patchwork of technologies reverse-engineered from a dozen different alien wreckages found in the outer solar system. By the first ones, Valwyn whispered as his sensors registered the ship's power signature. They've built a hybrid drive system. They've combined technologies that should be incompatible. The Prometheus carried humanity's most advanced weapons system, a railgun that used micro-singularities as projectiles. Each shot had the potential to tear a ship apart at the quantum level. Final warning to all Concordat forces, Zhao broadcast on all frequencies. You have witnessed only a fraction of our defensive capabilities. Withdraw now, or we will be forced to demonstrate the full extent of what humanity can do when pushed too far. In the Concordat command ship, High Commander Zervex faced a decision that would reshape galactic politics forever. His fleet, thought invincible, had been bloodied by a species that supposedly shouldn't have been able to scratch their shields. All ships, assume defensive positions, he ordered finally. Transmit to the Council. The humans are not what we thought. Recommend immediate diplomatic contact. Not as superiors, but as equals. As the Concordat fleet pulled back, Zhao allowed herself a small sigh of relief. The battle was won, but she knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had just announced its presence on a galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. The real challenge would be what came next. Supreme Counselor Vex, then's mechanical shell vibrated with barely contained energy as the emergency session of the Concordat Council convened. The crystalline chamber, usually a symbol of order and power, now seemed to reflect the chaos that had engulfed galactic politics. The human victory was no accident, Vex then announced, projecting battle recordings that made several council members recoil. They didn't just defeat our fleet. They had prepared specifically for our tactics, our technology, our very way of thinking. Scientific attaché Valwyn's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with agitation as he presented his analysis. We've confirmed that human technological development didn't suddenly accelerate. It merely went underground. They've been systematically studying alien civilizations for decades, reverse engineering technology from ancient battlefield debris, and developing countermeasures to every known weapons system in the galaxy. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices and electromagnetic pulses of distress. A species that could hide its true capabilities so effectively was unprecedented. More disturbing was the revelation that humans had been watching them long before official first contact. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Zhao sat in a very different kind of meeting. Representatives from a dozen previously unknown alien species had requested immediate diplomatic contact, species that had been quietly resisting Concordat dominance from the shadows. "We've watched your battle with great interest," declared Ambassador Kren of the Sylphid Collective, a being of pure thought housed in a crystalline matrix. "For 10,000 years, the Concordat has enforced their vision of proper technological development. You've proven their paradigm false." Zhao smiled diplomatically. The Concordat made a common mistake. They assumed technological progress must follow a predictable path. Humanity has always excelled at finding shortcuts. "More than shortcuts," rumbled Representative Zortak of the Crimson Hegemony, a species that had been forced to hide their own advanced weaponry. "You've demonstrated that multiple technological paths can be combined in ways the Concordat thought impossible. Your hybrid technologies violate every principle of their developmental theory." The implications were staggering. Across the galaxy, species that had been labeled as primitive or developing began revealing their own hidden advances. The Concordat's carefully maintained hierarchy was crumbling. Back in the Concordat Council chamber, the political fallout was reaching critical mass. Several member species had already announced their intention to review their membership, citing the Concordat's technological orthodoxy as increasingly untenable. "The humans must be contained," declared Councillor Daxren, their crystalline form pulsing with aggressive energy. "If we allow this precedent to stand—" "Contain them how?" interrupted Valwyn, his patterns now showing unexpected confidence. Their railgun technology was just the surface. The Prometheus vessel demonstrated hybrid technology that our best scientists still can't explain. And now our own member species are questioning our authority. In Earth orbit, the Prometheus had become the center of a growing fleet. Ships from various primitive species were arriving daily, seeking alliance with the civilization that had shattered the Concordat's technological monopoly. "We've received another transmission from the Exertion Alliance," Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported to Zhao. "They're offering to share their biological computing technology in exchange for our phase-shift railgun designs." Zhao nodded, studying the holographic display showing the growing network of new diplomatic connections. "Approve the exchange, but maintain operational security protocols. We've learned the hard way that knowledge is power in this galaxy." The Concordat's response to their rapidly eroding influence was predictable. They attempted to reassert control through a show of force. A massive fleet, 3 times the size of the first, assembled at the edge of the solar system. But this time, Earth wasn't alone. Ships from 24 species, each with their own hidden advantages and forbidden technologies, took up defensive positions alongside humanity's forces. The message was clear. The old order was over. High Commander Zervex, watching the sensor readings of the combined fleet, felt something he'd never experienced in centuries of military service: genuine uncertainty. "They're using Phelan stealth systems," he reported, "Cranaxian quantum shields, and is that a Nexarian time dilation field?" The implications were staggering. Each of these primitive species had developed different technological specialties in secret, and now they were sharing them freely, creating combinations that defied conventional military doctrine. In the Concordat Council chamber, Supreme Councillor Vex then faced the inevitable. "Perhaps," they said slowly, their mechanical shell dimming in submission, "it is time to reconsider our role in galactic development. The humans haven't just defeated our military. They've proven our entire philosophy of technological progress fundamentally flawed." The galaxy was changing, and at its center was a species that had turned its perceived weakness into its greatest strength. Humanity's greatest innovation hadn't been their railguns or hybrid technologies. It had been their ability to unite other oppressed species under a new banner of technological freedom. The tables hadn't just turned, they had been completely overturned. 1 year after the failed Concordat invasion, Earth hosted the first Galactic Technology Summit. The transformed International Space Station, now expanded with sections incorporating architecture from 24 species, symbolize the new era of cooperation. Admiral Zhao, recently appointed as Earth's first Galactic Affairs Director, stood before an assembled crowd of representatives from across the galaxy. The chamber hummed with energy signatures from various life forms, each bringing their own unique technological perspectives. For too long, the galaxy operated under artificial constraints. Zhao began, her voice translated simultaneously into hundreds of languages. The Concordat's belief in a single linear path of technological development nearly cost us all countless opportunities for advancement. The remnants of the Concordat, now reformed into the Galactic Scientific Cooperative, watched from their designated section. Supreme Counselor Vex, then's mechanical shell displayed a more subdued energy pattern, a visible sign of their humbled status. The human concept of parallel development has proven revolutionary, announced Dr. Call, a gaseous being from the former restricted zone. By combining our various technological approaches, we've achieved in months what might have taken millennia under the old system. The evidence was everywhere. The hybrid technologies that had started with humanity's Prometheus project had spawned an explosion of innovation. Crystalline computing combined with quantum mechanics, biological enhancement merged with mechanical efficiency, and temporal mechanics enhanced with dark matter manipulation. But power unchecked leads to chaos. Joe continued, addressing the concern that had brought them all together. We propose a new framework, not to restrict development, but to ensure it benefits all species. The proposed Galactic Innovation Charter was unprecedented. Instead of enforcing technological orthodoxy, it established protocols for safe testing and ethical deployment of new technologies. More importantly, it guaranteed the right of every species to pursue their own path of development. In orbit, the Prometheus had been joined by ships representing the new order. Each vessel was unique, incorporating technologies that would have been forbidden under Concordat rule. They stood as testimony to the diversity of thought that had been suppressed for so long. The humans' greatest contribution wasn't their railguns, Val Wynn observed, his bioluminescence reflecting off the chamber walls. It was their demonstration that strength comes from diversity, not conformity. The summit marked the beginning of a new age. Research facilities incorporating multiple technological paradigms were established throughout the galaxy. Species that had hidden their innovations for generations now shared them openly, leading to breakthroughs that benefited all. Even the former Concordat members found liberation in the new system. Freed from their rigid technological hierarchy, they discovered their crystalline technology could evolve in ways they had never imagined. We were wrong, Vex then admitted during the closing ceremony. We sought to impose order through restriction, but true progress comes from embracing chaos and finding harmony within it. The humans' Railgun technology, which had sparked the revolution, now seemed almost primitive compared to the innovations that followed. But it remained a symbol, a reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions could challenge the most established principles. Zhao stood at her familiar observation window on the expanded station, watching ships from across the galaxy come and go freely. Each vessel represented a different approach to the same challenges, a unique solution born from countless years of hidden development. We never wanted to rule the galaxy, she reflected to her assembled staff. We just wanted the freedom to develop in our own way. In fighting for that freedom, we helped others find theirs. The new Galactic Innovation Charter became the foundation of an unprecedented era of advancement. Species that had been deemed primitive emerged as leaders in specialized fields. The combining of technologies once thought incompatible led to solutions for problems that had plagued civilizations for millennia. And at the heart of it all was the species that had dared to challenge the established order, not through overwhelming force, but through innovation, preparation, and the courage to think differently. As the summit concluded, representatives from across the galaxy raised their voices, appendages or energy fields in a unified gesture of approval. The age of restriction was over. The age of innovation had begun. Humanity had changed the galaxy not by conquering it, but by showing it a better way. The impossible had become possible, and the future was limited only by imagination. So, Zhao asked the assembled delegates, "Who's ready to see what we can achieve together?" The response was unanimous. The galaxy would never be the same.